Hi everybody! The video I'm presenting today, I think it won't get an award for the best martial arts action video of the year. But foremost, its objective is to have you reflect on things that you already know that you have in you. And this is much more valuable for me personally to convey this message as for yourself. Theses that these are not mine, but I just formulated them. Because they are based on facts, on physiological facts that are already there, that you know from your school, from basic education. The first thesis is, every human being is capable of fighting without having learned any martial arts at all. How can this be? Now, make a small exercise. Take a coaching mitt, hold it up, and take your wife, take your spouse, take your kids, or take a friend who has not done any martial arts in his life, and have him or her punch the mitt at full force, with full intent to really hurt. If this would be, let's say, a buddy or somebody they don't like or they have to defend against. Watch the body language, and then do the exercise by yourself. What do you feel? What do you see? Make a video of it. What do you see? Do you see something that couldn't be done without martial arts, only with martial arts? Remind yourself when you were a kid and you were building a sandcastle and you had a little tool doing it. And a kid came by and it destroyed your sandcastle. What did you do? You started crying because you could not communicate. You just started crying and you started rebuilding. Then, if the kid came back the second time and again destroyed your sandcastle, and because of the lack of communication skills, what did you do? And if the other kid is standing close by or was standing close by, what did you do? Remember yourself or recall it. You hit the other kid, and where? Right in the face. Because you knew by intuition that everything that is being impacted in your face on yourself, it has the same effect on another kid. You know it by intuition. And hit in the face, the other kid starts crying. And if the other kid is in a further distance, you throw it direction of the face. See the little video that I'm going to show you. Now let's go back to the coaching mitt. Actually, what did you do? What you did was you mobilized energy. That means you taking force in order to move a part of your body or your body in order to fight inertia. You know this from school, from physical, or not from physical, but from physics. And by having initiated a movement, you start mobilizing energy. And then you have to make sure that the trajectory is towards the coaching mitt or wherever you want to hit. The mass, the body mass. And when your hit is touching the body mass, you are transferring energy and then it's impacting the other body. This is pure physics. And you cannot deny it, you cannot even circumvent it, because this is what you have to do. And the thing is, and now if you remember physical education, the sports that you did, football, soccer, handball, basketball, whatever. You did all these things already. And you were mobilizing energy in order to make an impact on the other kid. By progressing age, you're replacing the by your fist, by your arm, by your elbow, by whatever means is necessary in order to make an energy impact on somebody else. So the first thesis says every human being is able to fight without having learned any martial arts at all, because any human being is able to mobilize energy on his body or to his body part that he needs to. The second thesis: the information processing based on visual perception is too slow, insufficient, and it's risky. Why? Now I make this model very simple for you, and I'm structuring it in like 4 phases. The first phase is like, you know it from normal sports or from tournaments or whatever you do. You make like a still shot, and then you try to extract information. This is phase 1. You try to get as much information out of it. Second phase is you try to compare this information with information already registered in you through training, instruction. And the third phase is that you try to analyze all this in order to bring it down to a decision. And there's only one decision, one solution. You cannot have 2 solutions, because then you have to weigh them and it costs time. And the phase number 4 is that your body is then realizing the decision. So, this process is taking too long, and at the same time, while you're processing this, it might happen that pictures from your unconscious, images, feelings, disrupt from the side and falsify the data, so you cannot expect a good result when you falsify the data in between. That's not possible. And remember yourself, you had this situation where you wanted to do one thing, and suddenly there was some feeling, some notion where you changed it in a split second and you came out wrong. So second thesis says the information processing based on visual perception is insufficient, too slow, and there's too much risk into it. Thesis number 3. And this is very simple. And with this one, you already see how it's having a big influence on thesis number 2, on the information processing based on visual perception. Every human being, and this is physiological fact, under stress, be it from workload, be it from tournament, sports, or whatever, in which environment ever, you have what is called the tunnel view. That means there's so much stress on you that your mental is focusing like this. And you're only perceiving the information that's inside this little tube. Everything that's outside, you can't have access to it because it's being barred from you. And now, if you go back into thesis number 2, if you have only this range of data instead of this range of data, because of the tunnel, because of stress, you're already starting at a minimum point of information volume. And this is not an advantage, of course. And thesis number 3, the tunnel view happens to everybody under stress. Thesis number 4, and this is now a very crucial one, and very crucial especially for martial artists. You cannot visually seize up or measure energy. Neither you can do with temperature or pressure. In order to make it visible or measurable, you need, for example, for temperature, you need a thermometer or another technical apparatus. For pressure, you need a technical apparatus. You can feel it, but you cannot really quantify it. Same for energy. It's not possible. That means if you try to measure up the right amount of energy that is coming toward you with a punch or whatever, you will fail because it's not possible. You're either too low, you're either maybe par by chance, or maybe you're above. But you don't know. You don't know what is coming at you because you don't have a technical apparatus that can measure it up before it impacts you. Okay? And now that we have discussed these 4 theses, we are now going to do some finger food exercises, which are very important and that you need to do with your trainer, with your partner, with your friend, with your spouse, whomever. But you have to do it yourself as well. The first exercise that we are going to present to you is very simple. Our 2 presenters, Fabian and Bernd. Fabian is on the left, Bernd is on the right. The first exercise, they will take a softball and Bernd will hold it in the center of his body, on his trunk, and he will push it out at full thrust towards Fabian. And Fabian, he has to somehow grab the ball, push it back, and then they do it a couple of times, back and forth. But what is more important now is you have now to watch the body language of both of them, especially Fabian, because he's being somehow attacked by the softball. See if he is under stress, if he's showing signs of tension, of fear, whatever. Okay? And then we will discuss this after having watched the video. And little note, I have cut out the sound because you're supposed to focus yourself on reading the body language. Because you're seeing so many martial arts videos where people are explaining, you hear the sound, you hear the explanation, but actually you don't focus on the body language because the body language is something that does not lie. You see what the person is really capable of doing or not doing. But just listening to his words, it can mean everything. But the body language makes it transparent to you. Enjoy. You have seen that Fabian was actually very relaxed, and he stayed relaxed throughout the whole time. Why? If you would be in his place, and I would be opposite to you and would thrust the softball at full speed and full thrust at you, and I would ask you, do you feel threatened by the ball or by the impact? And even by telling you, you can already sense yourself and would say, no, actually I'm not. And then I would ask you, why don't you feel threatened? And you would tell me, and this is what everybody does, because it's a softball. I don't need to be afraid. And then I would ask you, but how do you know? And then you would say, yeah, but I've seen it. And then I would say, okay, you established a visual contact. You deem it as a softball. You categorize it in, okay, non-threatening. And because of this, you say, okay, everything is cool. That means by establishing a contact, you categorize the softball and your conclusion is there's no threat. So far, so good. Now we're going into the second exercise. And I'm not going to tell you right now what will happen there, but just watch and then we'll discuss afterwards. Enjoy. Surprised? I hope so. I hope that you were already getting a different sense of feeling while watching the video, because what happened? We just exchanged a parameter, a variable, which is the ball. And we replaced the softball with a 5 kilogram medicine ball. So did you watch Fabian? Did you see how he behaved, how he structured his body in order not to be impacted by the medicine ball? What would you do if you would be in Fabian's place and I would thrust the ball at full force at you? You would keep up your hands all the time because you don't know when it's coming and you don't know how much energy is coming. If your arms would give in because they are not structured enough, the ball just continues his way. So that means it's impacting your balance and your equilibrium. So that means you have to structure your body. Your lower body has to be connected and structured with your upper part. Otherwise, you're being hit or you're being off balance. Simple exercise. Do it. Do it with your partner, do it with your trainer, do it with your instructor, your teacher, and see if he's doing the same thing that you do or that Fabian does in the video. Do it from a short distance like we showed you in the video. If your teacher does something else, or if you have the feeling I shouldn't go on full thrust with the medicine ball, you will never know if he's going to do it or not. You're just assuming. Okay, so now the next exercise will bring it to a whole new level. I won't tell what we do right now. You will see and then we'll discuss later. Enjoy. So, did you enjoy? What did you see? Fabian, he was blindfolded. And there were two choices of balls that Bernd had. He had the softball and he had the medicine ball. And Fabian, he doesn't know what to expect because he's blindfolded. And in addition to that, he doesn't know when one of the balls is coming. That means he doesn't know anything about the timing because he's cut off the visual perception totally. And this is the total simulation of the tunnel. You're almost blindfolded. Accept this fact because it's It's our nature. You cannot circumvent it, not by even watching movies. It doesn't work. It's pure physics. And if you do the exercise yourself, you will see that you are tensing up 100%, like Fabian did. There's 100% structure right now. This is the key word. Fabian has now put his structure to 100% because he's blindfolded. Because his intuition, and I hope your intuition will say the same, I have to expect the worst case, which is the 5 kilogram medicine ball. And everybody that I do it with, that has done no martial arts, is telling me, yeah, I will prepare myself for the worst case, because this is logic, this is intuition. And the people that I have done the exercise with from the martial arts circle, they were preparing very often like this, assuming, okay, that dude, he won't do it because he want to be friends with me afterwards. And I did it. And the thing was, they couldn't blame it on me because it was their bad preparation. I'm just the thruster of the ball, nothing else. I don't hit them, and they got hit by the ball. So they have to reconsider, rethink themselves, reflect themselves, my preparation 100% or not. And this is the objective of this exercise. And you really need to do it in order to feel yourself. And do it with your partner, do it with your trainer, and see how they are behaving. Take a video of it all, and then you see for yourself. Everybody will do the same. Okay, now we're going to the fourth exercise, which is that Fabian is not blindfolded anymore, but Bernd is now taking his body structure, and he's always ready to shoot the ball, to thrust the ball, but he's changing, he's totally displacing himself, he's changing his position all the time. And watch Fabian how he is behaving. Enjoy. So what did you see? Fabian, he was being disrupted in his timing by the constant changing of position by Bernd, because Bernd went with the structure. He didn't move the ball by his arms, because if he would do this, he has to always regroup, get the ball centered to his body, and in order to be able to thrust the ball with full force at Fabian. But he didn't do this. So Fabian, he cannot lose any chance and say, okay, I'm not taking him serious, even if he doesn't let the ball go. So every move that Bernd is doing, Fabian, he has to take it as a serious threat. And by this, Bernd is determining his timing, and not the other way around. Do this exercise. Actually, you know a little bit from basketball, other sports, where you do it. But the objective in those sports is not to take the ball and shoot somebody. It's only to get it into to make a goal or whatever. Okay? And in order to give you this visual perception, look at the next video where Bernd is doing it like a close-up, full frontal close-up, and get your sense of feeling how you perceive it when you see Bernd having the medicine ball and he's constantly changing his position. Before we go to the next video, and in the next video, we are going more into the application area. In the next video, Bernd will take a big coaching mitt and he will come in like an NFL or rugby player. That means Bernd is now the big medicine ball himself in one. Imagine yourself, you standing face to face to a rugby player, NFL player. And these guys know how to mobilize energy from the spot straight forward without any hesitation. This is even worse than somebody that is only trying to hit you with his arm, with a punch, because he's bringing his full body mass, full frontal forward. So, and at this point of time we have now to discuss what will happen. And there are only three options, logical options that happen. Presumed that you put your structure, like Fabian did in the videos, 100% up against this incoming energy. The first thing that can happen is that the incoming energy is lower than the structure you put up as a resistance. What will happen? Easy. Imagine throwing or thrusting the softball against the wall, solid wall. It bounces back. Easy. The second option is that the incoming volume of energy is tantamount to your structure of resistance. They're equal. What will happen? Like with the ball, it bounces back a little bit and you starting trembling a little bit. But it's not threatening right now because you're not still off balance, but it's only like you're shaking. And the third option, logical one, is the incoming energy has more volume than your structure that you put up as a resistance against it. But what does it mean? There are two ways in the traditional martial arts of handling it. The first one is to block it all. That means to go with your force against the whole volume, against the 100% volume of the incoming energy. But you don't know how much the 100% of the other is in comparison to yours. So you can be par, you can be lower, you can be above, you never know. It's a 50-50% chance. The second approach is that you see very often, which is deemed as the intelligent way, is to yield, to give in, to absorb. The thing is, if you do it in a short distance, like we showed you with the medicine ball, you cannot step out of the way. You cannot give in with your arms, you cannot yield with your arms, because you felt that the medicine ball is still going further, because he does not stop until he is stopped. Okay? So, what does it mean? Again, the incoming energy is higher than your structural resistance. That means, and this is pure physics, and every physics teacher can explain it to you. Your resistance will cut off the amount that equals your resistance of the incoming energy. It's cutting it away, it's neutralizing. And the remaining energy that is above this is where the teaching method needs to teach you how to kick in with technique in order to neutralize this. That means the aim of the logic is to put up your structure in order to neutralize incoming energy, and that remaining energy on top, this is where you need technique. So you don't want to occupy yourself with 100% of it all, but only with a small portion. And the rest needs to be done by your structure. And this is pure logic. Easy. Okay, so enjoy the next video. So have you seen how Fabian tried to control the situation only by structure? So in the next video, Bernd is leaving out the coaching mitt and now he's taking his body. So actually it's the same exercise, but you see how we try to, by our teaching method, logically structure teaching, step by step. So now he's doing the same without the coaching mitt and he's taking his body as an like the medicine ball as an energy mass going in. Enjoy. The following exercise takes on the base that we have already worked, but now Bernd is using the body, closing in, punching and testing the structure of Fabian. Enjoy. The next video is taking it onto a new level, meaning Bernd is closing in, he's trying to punch, and then Fabian tries to control the situation by his structure, but then instantly taking the advantage of having neutralized Bernd's incoming energy and taking it as an initiation to counter and go back with his energy in form of punches or whatever, but in this exercise we do it only with punches only in order to revert the energy towards Bernd. Enjoy. Next and last video, we are, let's say, encompassing all the things we have worked before in a single exercise that you are supposed to do at home, in your school, in your club, with your teacher, with your friends, with everybody. Bernd is now taking the medicine ball, he's thrusting it, then he's taking the coaching mitt and closing in, and then closing in with his body and also with a punch. So you will see that Fabian is actually doing the same all the time. He's just keeping up his body structure in order to handle the incoming energy, and this is a natural intuition. That means what you see here right now is the context of three key terms: structure and energy. You need structure and you need it 100%. Actually, the term structure is always 100%. If something is missing, there's not a structure, because a structure is a kind of closed entity, a firm closed entity. You need structure in order to handle energy, and this is natural intuition. And when you see small kids, and if you're a father or a mom and you're having kids, and you see how the kids behave when they grow up, when they do sports, they do it with a natural intuition, because they're afraid of certain things where you say, but the traditional martial art told me not to be afraid of this. But you better should be, because you cannot measure it up in order to have an adequate reaction to it. That means the conditioning also of traditional martial arts, the mental conditioning, brings you away and locks you away from natural intuition instead of enhancing it. So try to grasp and take the natural intuition back to you again. We're at the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and that you could take a lot of information for yourself. Do these exercises with your friends, with your partners, with your teachers, instructors, and see how they arrange themselves with this energy, or with this notion of energy, this new one. But now, in order to give you another topic for your self-reflection, go back to the exercises and now think that you are not only using your body in order to mobilize energy and transfer energy, or just a punch. Imagine you are holding something like this. You know, these fighting sticks? Basic. Or just take a hammer big, small sledgehammer. Or take a knife. So, if you are against somebody, you instantly know that he's capable of mobilizing energy, like everybody, like thesis number 1. But if he's holding an object with a special and particular structure, like a knife, a blade, or whatever, it brings an increased layer of threat potential towards you.